Where's my Dallas?
You know, we only come up with ideas as we're walking into the diva. Did you find it?
My book actually is here this week.
This is probably what you're looking for. So I just have to give you one small one. I am still definitely feeling the effects of the anesthesia. So I had some moments. You look over at me. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Just roll with it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Just had some moments where that I tell you I spent like 30 minutes looking for my glasses. Oh my god.
I can appreciate that. Well, I've also done that now that
Yeah, but I mean, but it was like it was. No,
The other day I was searching for my phone while holding it.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
That's great.
So I can appreciate that.
How do you know you're alive?
Yeah.
Is that microphone?
Yeah. Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, good evening. Welcome to Congregation Dor Tamid. I'm Rabbi Jordan Ottenstein on the Bima tonight, as always, with our cantorial soloist Mike Zuspin. It is wonderful to see all of you here this evening as we gather together as a community to welcome in Shabbat, to welcome in this day of rest, this day we are given each week that we are told should be a joy for us. We are told should be an opportunity to take the schmutz of the week and just set it aside, to be with our community, to be with our families, to be with one another as we welcome in this gift, as we say thank you for this gift we are given, and where we can truly renew ourselves, renew our souls. Welcome to all of you here in the sanctuary, as well as to everyone joining us online through Zoom and Facebook, our website and YouTube. However you are coming together, it is beautiful that all of us are here as one community, celebrating Shabbat together. We start by singing those words that it is so beautiful. Hine Matov, page 128.
Hine Matov Manai Sheberachim Gam Yachad 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 Hine Matov Manai Sheberachim Gam Yachad.
In addition to celebrating Shabbat, we are also here at Congregation Dor Tamid celebrating a Simcha this weekend, a joyous occasion in the lives of one of the families in our community, in the lives of one of the young people in our community, and really in the life of the community, as tomorrow morning during our Shabbat morning worship service, Reese Epstein will be up here with Mike and I on the Bima to lead us in prayer, to read from the Torah, and then to teach us from its sacred and ancient wisdom. And in doing so, we will call her a bat mitzvah, the newest adult member of the Jewish people. So Reese, to begin this Shabbat, I'm going to ask you to come up to the Bima, along with your family, your mom and your dad, so that together you can kindle our Sabbath lights as we all turn to page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, shel Shabbat.
Page 127. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessings, O God. We begin by offering those thanks, by lifting our voices, by bringing our joy together with the words of Psalm 95, the first of our Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, on page 130.
V'chuneranena l'Adonai, nariya letzor yishenu, nikadma fana betoda, bizmirot nariya lo. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along all the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash.
Page 133. Mizmor Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Ki niflaot asa hoshia lo yimino zroa kodsho. Sing to Adonai a new song, for God has worked wonders. God's right hand, God's holy arm, has won God victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth beheld the victory of our God. Hariu l'Adonai kol haaretz, pitzchu v'rananu v'zameru. Together, raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. We continue now on page 138, welcoming the Sabbath bride with the words of Lecha Dodi. We sing together verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and we will rise for the 9th and final verse, hoping to catch a glimpse of the Sabbath bride as she enters our presence. But as we are singing these words tonight, words we sing each Friday as we reach this moment on Shabbat, I'm going to invite you to pay a special attention and close attention to verse 5, where it says, Hit orari, kiva orech kumi ori. Uri uri shir daberi, kivod Adonai alayich nigla. Awake, awake, your light has come. Arise, shine, awake, and sing. The Eternal's glory dawns upon you. The author isn't speaking of the Sabbath. The author is speaking to each one of us. to wake up to this moment, to wake up to the possibility of Shabbat, the lights we have brought to Shabbat, and the light that each one of us, as we renew ourselves on this Shabbat, can bring to creation.
Yalla la 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 lecha dodi, yalla la 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 lekrat kala, yalla la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, Ishmeanu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'litila. Yalalai, yalalai lecha dodi, yalalai lekra kala, yalalai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat ekabela. Likrat Shabbat lecho v'nilcha, Yehi makor ha'bracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tehila. Yalalai, yalalai lecha dodi, yalalai lekra kala, Yalla la la la, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat ekabela. Hidoreri, hidoreri, kiva orek umi ori, uri uri. Sherdaberi Kivod Adonai Alayek Nigla Yalalai Yalalai Lekadodi Yalalai Lekakala Yalalai B'nei Shabbat B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi ikala, boi ikala. Yalalai, yalalai lekadodi, yalalai lekakala, yalalai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Page 145. Lamdeni Elohai barech v'hitpalel, al sod ale kamel, al nuga pri vashel, Ahacherot chazot, lirot, lachush, linsom, ladaat, liyachel, lihikashel. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, unripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We turn to the other half of the page, to 144 now, as we prepare to transition into our Mariv service, our evening service, with the Shema and its blessings, with the words of the Chatzi Kaddish, and to lead us in the Kaddish, I'm going to invite now to come to the Bima our Bat Mitzvah, Reese Epstein.
Yitgadal vayitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach yirutei v'yanlich malchutei.
B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uv'zman kaviv.
Vayimeru
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach. Le'olam olam me'almaya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach, Vayishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitroman, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei dekudesha
Berichu.
Le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata.
Tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma.
Vayimeru.
Amen. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Barechu et Adonai Avorach. Baruch Adonai Avorach Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai. 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 Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Please be seated. Page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu, Kumenu na'asiyach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratcha, U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Kihem chayenu be'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla nege yomam v'layla v'yahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael. Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We turn now to page 157 as we read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה יוסף אל. If you know it, sing it. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה יוסף אלך. יאי לי 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 לי. Yai lai 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 lai. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh, nora oseh, nora oseh v'ele Adonai imlok le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Ve'amidenu shomrenu l'chayim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Amidenu Shomrenu Lechaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. Hamidenu Shomrenu Lechaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Ashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. Hamidenu Shomrenu Lechaim.
As we turn in our prayer books to page 162, we also turn to those words from Torah. Words that remind us each week as we sing them that Shabbat is here not just as a day of rest, but when we keep it, it will renew us and renew our souls.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledor tamid olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledor tamid olam. Ve'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledor tamid olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledor tamid olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledor tamid olam. Micah, here's your chance. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledor tamid olam.
We turn now to page 164 as we rise for the tefillah, singing the opening prayer together, the opening words of the Psalms together. And then we will continue on our own, in our own way, in our own place, in our own time, through page 181, using the words on the page and the meditations of your heart. And when you have concluded, I invite you to be seated so that we can continue together with a prayer for peace.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Adonai sefatai tivtach, Ufi agi teilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata o Melech Adon lechol Shalom. Ki ata u Melech Adon lechol Shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה לשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
I'm going to ask everyone to think back. Think back to when you were younger, when you were a child. Some of you may not have to think back as far as others, but think back if you ever were acting in a way that you shouldn't have done, you shouldn't have been acting, and then something bad happened, and the response from the parents, the grandparents, the authority figure in the room was something along the lines of, well, God's punishing you. I heard that as a kid every now and then. Not too often, of course, but every now and then. This Parshat Ekev, in the book of Deuteronomy, and really the theology of the book of Deuteronomy, speaks to that idea. It speaks to that idea of divine reward and punishment. That when we do the blessings, when we do the mitzvot, when we do the things that we're supposed to do, when we act in the ways that we're supposed to act, good things are going to happen. Things are going to be grand. But, the Torah teaches us, when we do the things we're not supposed to be doing, when we do the things that God doesn't want us to do, when we sin, when we commit those moments where on Yom Kippur we will refer to them as missing the mark, the opposite is true then, according to Deuteronomy. We will be punished. Bothering your sibling and stub your toe? There you go. But in the midst of this parsha, in Parshat Ekev, where we hear these rewards and punishments and a reminder of the great sin of our people, the sin of the golden calf, and what the punishment was for that, we find one very specific line in chapter 10, where the Torah says, V'yata Yisrael, ma Adonai Elohecha sha'al mi'amecha. But Israel, what is it that God demands of you? Now, you could answer that question by saying there are 613 mitzvot in the Torah, and that is what God demands of us. That's how we need to act. That's how we need to behave. But the Torah answers its own question in a much different way. It says only this. This is what God demands of you. To revere the eternal your God, to walk only in divine paths, to love and to serve the eternal your God with all your heart and soul. That's it. That's all we have to do. But it's not as easy as it sounds. Because we do all of those things through the mitzvot, through the commandments, through treating one another with kavod, with honor and respect and love, and by repairing this world that we are given to co-create with the eternal. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Beredichev, a great Hasidic sage, focuses in his commentary on these verses on the phrase only this. And he looks at the words only this not as that's all we have to do, but for the generation that experienced the Exodus, for the generation that experienced the Ten Commandments, for the generation that experienced living through the wilderness and coming to the land of Israel, revering God, only that. That's not so hard. We saw God's miracles. But what Levi Yitzchak then says is, may it be as easy for me as it was for my ancestors. So then the question for Levi Yitzchak is, how do we make it easier? The Torah provides that answer as well. Just a few verses after this question that the Torah asks, it says to us, Umaltem et orlat levavchem. Umaltem et orlat levavchem. Words that to a Hebrew speaker sound like a familiar ritual. A milah, this first word, is a circumcision. The orlah is the foreskin, and the lev is the heart. So the Torah says we should circumcise the foreskins of our heart. What? What does that mean? Ask a doctor, ask a nurse. There is no foreskin of the heart. But the foreskin of the heart that we are supposed to cut away, that we are supposed to peel away, is that what Pharaoh had on his heart? That which hardens our hearts against the other person. That which hardens our hearts against goodness and compassion and love. So the Torah says to cut away that which stiffens your hearts and stiffens your necks, so that you won't be stubborn, so that you won't push back, so that you will be able to engage in those works of gimilut chasadim, of loving kindness. And in doing so, we can therefore fulfill Levi Yitzchak's request to make it easy to love and revere our God. Because when we love and revere one another, those who are created in the image of God, the next step is to love God, God's self. We pause in our service as we think of those members of our community who are ill. Some are in the hospital, some are at home recovering. Some have diseases and illnesses from which they may never recover. This week we think especially of Stanley Bassell, Rena Fields, Richard Jacobs, Randy Bazerman, Brooke Jacobs, Caroline Eisenhart, Spencer Schilling, Larry Futterman, Marty Duke, Marty Barish, Gary Paul, Brian Berger, Chandler Jacobs, Dory Korn, Harriet Jacobs, Renee Fahn, Susan Abrams, Yael Bat David Vilea, Bev Mahone, Alan Friedman, Sarah Kahn, Lee Silverstein, Jill Vantine, Eleanor Goodman, Yuli Markovich, Libby Routman, Laurel Phoenix, Marjorie Whitmore, Jerry Phillips, Claire Levin, Paul Kershon, Reva Fisher, Leslie Knight, Bert Singerman, Stephen Schiff, Mateo Velasquez, Max Jacobs, Kathy Waldner, Richard Zuspin, Christopher Denton, and Phyllis Lapin. If you are thinking of someone who's in need of a prayer of healing, I invite you to share their name with the community as my eyes meet yours, or you can add their name at this time, those of you who are at home, to the chat. We think of all of them and we ask for God's healing presence to be with all those who are ill and all those we have listed, all those we hold in our hearts. We ask God also to care for those victims of violence around the world. May they be blessed with love and support, healing and hope. We ask God to watch over those who care for the sick each day. May God strengthen their loving and caring hands through love, support, knowledge, and wisdom. As we think of all of them, we ask for God's blessing to be with all of them, all of us. Page 371.
Mi sheberach avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach avotenu, mi sheberach imotenu. Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Page 586, we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. At this sacred moment of our Shabbat evening worship, we think longingly and lovingly of those taken from us both recently and at this season in years past. We mark the Yartzites, the anniversary of their passing on this Shabbat, of Donald David Ram, Eugene Allen, Julia Sondheim, Irvin Cohen, Fred Shore, Max Nemiroff, Mary Greenblatt, Molly Rasevsky, Belle Roman Shapiro, Sharon Fagan, Sarah Curley Tunick, Mitchell Astron, and Connie Gonzalez. If you are remembering someone on this Shabbat, I invite you to share their name with the community as my eyes meet yours, or to add their name at this time to the chat. Zichronam livracha. May all of their memories be a blessing. And may we link their memories and all those we carry in our hearts to the millions of our people who have no one to say Kaddish for them. As standing together as one community, we speak these words which unite heaven and earth, page 598, for the words of the Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach urute v'amlik malchute, B'chaye echon v'yom echon u'b'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Elameo Maya. Yit Barach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh. V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shmeid Kudsha Brichu. La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata. Tushbachata V'Nechemata. Da'amiran B'Alma V'Yimru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael. V'Yimru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mromav. Huya Aseh Shalom. Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael. V'Yimru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all the bereaved here and everywhere with the blessing of peace. Together we all say, Amen.
Oseh Shalom B'Mromav. Huyaseh Shalom. Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael. V'Yimru. Amen.
Our closing song can be found on page 625. Please join us in Adon Olam.
Adon Olam,
Adon Olam.
Asher Malach,
Sher Malach.
B'terem Kol Yitzini Ra Li'ein Nasa, B'chetza Kol Azai Melech Shimoni Kra Adon Olam, V'yacharei Kitlot Chakol Levado Yimloch Nara Adon Olam, Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Ove, Ve'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam.
Asher Malach,
Sher Malach.
B'terem Kol Yitzini Ra Li'ein Nasa, B'chetza Kol Azai Melech Shimoni Kra Adon Olam, Ve'hu Echad V'yein Sheni Le'am Shelo Le'achvira Adon Olam, Ve'li Reshit Ve'li Tachlit Ve'lo Ha'oz V'ham Yisra Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam.
Asher Malach,
Sher Malach.
B'terem Kol Yitzini Ra Li'ein Nasa, B'chetza Kol Azai Melech Shimoni Kra Adon Olam, Ve'hu Eli V'chai Goali V'tzorchev Li V'yitzara Adon Olam, Ve'hu Nisi Umanos Li Menat Kosi B'yom Mekra Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam.
Asher Malach,
Sher Malach.
B'terem Kol Yitzini Ra Li'ein Nasa, B'chetza Kol Azai Melech Shimoni Kra Adon Olam, B'yado Akid Ruchi B'yedi Sham B'ya'ira Adon Olam, B'im Ruchi Giviati Adonai Leave Lo Ira Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam.
Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzini Ra Li'ein Nasa, B'chetza Kol Azai Melech Shimoni Kra Adon Olam.
Please be seated. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos.
Good evening. It was a pleasure to be with all of you this evening as we celebrated Shabbat together. Just a few brief announcements before we conclude our service with Kiddush and Motzi and a final benediction. Tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m., we will continue celebrating Shabbat as a community, where we will be joined on the Bima by Reese Epstein, who will celebrate becoming a bat mitzvah tomorrow, the newest adult member of the Jewish people. And in doing so, she will, as I mentioned earlier, lead us in prayer, teach us from the Torah, and read, and I heard it earlier this week, beautifully from its ancient and sacred text. So we look forward to celebrating with you, Reese, tomorrow and your whole family for this simcha. This Sunday at 8:30 in the morning, our new youth choir, Kol Sason, will be having its first practice, its first rehearsal here in the sanctuary with Mike. If you have questions about that and you have 3rd through 6th graders, talk to Mike. And at 9 o'clock, religious school begins for our pre-K through 8th grade students. And at 10:30, we have a special adult education program this week where we will be joined by some of our founding members, some of our past presidents, in a panel discussion about the history of CDT, most specifically the actual founding of how two congregations came together to form one community. There will be a nosh at 10:30, and then at 11 o'clock we'll begin our program. So looking forward to seeing many of you here for that on Sunday. Looking way ahead to March, CDT is going to New York City with an adult trip. But that means we have to have an informational meeting first, which is this coming Monday here there in the social hall at 7:30 p.m. On Wednesday, we have Tanakh study at 11 o'clock in the morning. Join us on Zoom or here in person to continue studying the book of Joshua. And at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, we have our first of our C. Diddy Pizza Hangout nights for our 6th through 12th graders, followed at 7 o'clock by 9th and 10th grade religious school and confirmation for those students. Thursday at 1 o'clock is our knitting and crochet group, and in the evening we have both our high holiday choir rehearsing and our adult B'nai Mitzvah program meeting. And then next Friday is the Friday to look forward to, because it's our first musical Shabbat of this program year. It is 60s Shabbat. So if you were alive in the 60s, or even if you like 60s music, or if you like celebrating Shabbat, you should make sure to be here. Just come. You should make sure to be here next Friday night for what's going to be a wonderful service. And then the following Saturday morning, we will celebrate not only Shabbat morning worship, but also the Benot Mitzvah of Alyssa and Julia Chaffer. So we have a lot coming up in the next week, and a lot more coming up in the following weeks as we approach the new year with Rosh Hashanah in September. Watch your email probably next week or the next week or so for information about the High Holy Days. I just want to extend a special thank you this week to all of our board members, our education committee members, for all of the hard work, all of the support they gave for the start of religious school this past Sunday, for getting ready, for being here and supporting our school and our students. It is the third Friday night in the month, which means it is anniversary Shabbat. So if you are celebrating an August anniversary, I invite you to please rise. Okay.
No
so
takers.
More chocolate for me. Then we can begin to conclude our service with a kiddush and a motzi. Reese, I'm going to ask you to come forward for kiddush as we all turn to page 123. I'm also going to ask everyone in the congregation who has not yet, every kid in the congregation will qualify that way, who has not yet celebrated becoming a bar or bat mitzvah, to join us as well on the bima for kiddush as we all rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agaped. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ava u'v'ratzon hinchalatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. L'chaim.
We uncover now the challah as we sing together.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
And as they have the first bite of challah on behalf of all of us, we ask for God's blessing. Baruch atah b'vuacha, baruch atah b'tzeitacha. As you were blessed in coming here tonight, may you be blessed in going forth, taking all of the light of Shabbat with you, all that we have awoken to, all that we have arisen to, into creation, so that one day soon that light will bring more peace, more shalom, and more wholeness to all of the world. As together we all say,
Amen. Shabbat Shalom.